So I'm gonna, I haven't shown this trick for a long time, and I'm gonna show it here now because it's something that just never gets old, right? Is how to separate a napkin, because I'm gonna do a little journaling later on today. I've been very, I don't want to say distracted, but I've just been busy with a lot of other things, and I haven't had time to journal. And you know, I have to feed my soul, or else I can't really exist fully as an artist. So anyway, this is the God, I cannot get under the camera today. Okay, this is that tape that you can tape off with. You could use washi tape. You can use any kind of tape you want. So put one on the front of the napkin, one on the back. I usually go with a corner. Pull apart like this. So any of you who maybe have bought that PET tape that Seth is selling, it works on that too. Somebody in his group had shared that because I was having an awful job trying to separate those PET tapes because, hello, I don't have nails. And anyway, I found that the person suggested this, and I thought, well, I can't believe that's going to work. Well, it did. Okay, so then you do it again because there's another layer. See it there? It's starting to come apart. And then you get that second layer to come off. And I think that this one is going to be, yeah, Becky, thanks. I did not invent this. Somebody showed it to me, I mean, a million years ago, and I don't even remember who it was, but you know, it's one of those things you never forget because, yeah, I think this is that painter's tape too. This just happens to be blue. But washi tape, painter's tape, anything. And like I said, if you happen to buy that PET tape, it's got a little plasticized feel to it, and I never dreamed that it would work, but it does. So you can see how it's separated now, and I'm going to be doing something with that later on. So in my journal today, not here on the live, but anyway, yes, yes, yes. So here we are. Over on Instagram, I was talking about these schminky neons, and I got all whipped up about these. You know, I live in St. Louis, and there's this St. Louis art supply, and they're an online company. They're going to get a storefront that we can actually visit, but they've been online all during the pandemic, and they sell some really, really cool high-end products that you can't get other places. It's called St. Louis Art Supply, and anyway, they were selling this little set of schminkies. It's a limited edition neon. And I did not find these on Amazon. So, you know, Kathy, it was that part of Target where it's kind of between the, okay, I'll see if I can explain it. It's like across from the food area, but between where they have the appliances and between where they go into the storage containers and stuff. There's a little part there where they have kind of like trendier seasonal items, and they had some boho stuff, boho looking, and this was one of the patterns, and they had plates, and then they had a bunch of other patterns too, and it was all I could do to not buy it all. So anyway, that was the area. Yeah, yeah. So, oh, that's a great idea, Avenel, to make your own faux rice papers. Oh, well, I just wadded. Oh, I saved one layer. I saved one layer. I'm going to have to get on that later. So, all right. Well, anyway, so I got all whipped up about these schminky neons because, you know, I never saw a neon I didn't like. And if you were interested in this, you would need to Google St. Louis Art Supply and order directly from them. So last week, right after they arrived, I got all excited. I decided to use this triangle stencil of mine, and you're the paint palette, so don't run out the door with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, I decided to just play with them and see what they looked like. So this is the yellow, is the first color I put down here. And then the orange. The yellow, the orange, the pink, then there's a blue, and then there's a green. So I think they're super cool colors. I really enjoyed playing with them. I think they're going to be nice to use along with all of my other paints because, you know, I never met a paint I didn't like. Hello. All right, so that is that. Now, since I'm running the program here today without help, I am going to pop up a list of all the stencils I'm using and or showing in this, and then you guys, if you are interested, well, why didn't it, I just typed them in there. I copied and pasted them, but I don't think it came out right. Oh, you guys, this is just gonna not work. I thought that I'd be able to do this by myself, but okay. Well, that triangle stencil, if anyone was interested, is S as in Sam 179. So I'll just shout out the numbers. And there we go. All right. So I was thinking about watercolors and fussy cutting. You guys all know how weird I am, right? I think about the strangest things. And so watercolors and fussy cutting, it was like, well, everybody's doing that, right? You just see it all over. And I think that probably Ray Missigman was the first one I saw doing it years ago. I mean, years ago. She would, okay, you're so sweet. She would, Ray would use her botanical stencils and she'd watercolor over them. And it was just so gorgeous. And I always loved it then. And I still love it now because there's tons of people doing it. And you see that they even keep at their studio like baskets of these fussy cut watercolor parts to use in things. And I can't ever get organized enough to do it. And I got to thinking about it over the weekend. And I tried a couple different ways. So I'm going to show you Mary Beth's fussy cutting version of watercolor. All right, in no particular order. This is the first one I did. And here's what I did here. I took Carolyn Dubie's stencil right here. It's L583. And I love this stencil because it has all these fun critters on it. I mean, look at these guys. I've done these with my washi slap down technique and with lots of different things. And I just think these little critters make me very happy. So here's what I did. On this one, I laid it down and I traced inside and then I watercolored in it, okay? To trace, I used my favorite pen, which is a Micron PN. PN. These have been around for a long time, and I know I was thinking of Nancy Curry when I did that flamingo. Anyway, I want to tell you about these pens if you haven't got your hands on them yet. Tracy Batista told me about them at first, and PN stands for plastic nib, and I'm going to hold it up. I don't know if the camera will focus on it or not. Probably would if I put it under the camera. But you can see it has a different kind of nib than the normal Micron. So that plastic nib is sturdier. And for people that use their Microns with mixed media, hello, that's me, confession time. These are really great because they hold up a little bit better than the other nibs do. And that's the big advantage. Same Micron ink, but they just hold up better. And so I traced around here with the PN, and then I had my little animal. So I did a flamingo, and that was stencil L548 by June Paff Daly, which this is such a fun stencil. This was fun. I got to thinking, when I was thinking about fussy cutting, I was thinking it would be fun to fussy cut things other than botanicals, right? So I was looking for animals and stuff like that. Not yet, Jim. I haven't used it yet. But anyway, so, I mean, look at this stencil. I had forgotten how cute this was, right? It's like, OMG. I love this little stencil. And it's got all these flamingos. Yes, it does have Nancy Curry's name all over it, and I suspect that she already has this one. And then the next one I traced was this one by Gwen Lafleur, L630. And it has all these fish on it. And these are really nice. So see where I traced the fish then? I haven't painted the fish yet. I thought we could do that right now. And this is a palette by Etcher. And ETCHR, I think. And I'm just going to tell you, I got this thing because I just had to have it. And it's all layered up. So this is the bottom layer. And then there's a piece of little felt. And then this is the next layer. And there's another piece of little felt. Oh, there's a piece of felt that sits on the bottom. And then there's, when it dries, you put the felt on the top, and then I made that, and you sit it in here, and you have this amazing, amazing little bit of gorgeousness, right? It's on my Amazon shop, and if you were looking for my Amazon shop, you could go to StencilGirlTalk.com, and I bet there's a link. I think there's a link to it. There's one from my Instagram page, or you could go straight to Etcher Lab. I just think it's the cutest darn thing. I will say though that when I was loading my paints in here, I was a nervous wreck because there's so little. But I took this on a vacation with us, and that was all I used. And I was actually really, really pleased by, you know, how beautifully it worked and how much paint was actually in there compared to what you would expect. And then it's nice that it comes with this little mixing area too. I'm going to dispense a few of these neons because I want to use them with what we're doing here. And then I'm going to show you another way I did fussy cutting too, which actually turned out to be super fun as well. So first I'm going to wet a few of these, and this is watercolor. So here's kind of what I did then after I traced, is I just wet inside the lines, okay? Because I thought, well, that'll use, you know, watercolor, and I heard this once and I've never forgotten it. Watercolor has to be invited in. So if you wet it and then you invite it in, so like let's use the blue, and look how you've invited it in, and it's going around, but it's not going outside those lines because that's exactly where I put it, right? And you could get as detailed as you wanted with this. You could go in with your, let's say like your Derwent ink tints. You could color in those little spots. I mean, you're essentially making your own little coloring book, right? When you do this. And look at those neons, how that pops. You got to think, oh, neons and fish. Talk about a match made in heaven, right? So that was one way I did it. And that's how I did this one. And then I went back in and I colored his little feet with a marker. So, and then I just haven't cut these guys out yet. So these guys, when I cut them out, they'll probably have a white border. But then I got to thinking, I think I need to add a few more colors here. This is kind of a soothing thing to do. It really is. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a good watercolor brush, just get one by Silver. This is the number 8. I reach for it all the time. It's an 8 round. See how it goes to such a fabulous point. Truly, truly, truly a great watercolor brush. And I am very sad to report that Sterling got a hold of mine at home, and it already had duct tape. Oh, here's one that he got a hold of. Okay, so let's imagine my 8, my home 8, was like this, and Sterling got a hold of it, and then he bit the end off of it, which made me very angry. I was so angry at him. I can't get, I'm trying to see if anybody's commenting or not. They're not coming up on my feed. So if you, oh, look at that. The list did come up. Well, I'll be darned. Better late than never, right? Huh, okay. And I put a little label next to all of them so that you could know which ones I was talking about. And then there's the link to my shop. Hopefully that'll come up too. I don't know. Too many pieces of equipment here in the studio for a 62-year-old woman, right? Okay, so this is one way you can do your fussy cuts. Let it dry down, then you can always go back in and do whatever you want to it. So I'm going to pick this one up and move it to the side so it can dry. And then I'm going to show you another way. All right, so this one, I wanted to do this Roxanne Evans Stout. I wanted to do this bird, and then I wanted to do this little sun symbol thing. And so what I did was I kind of laid it out there, and I just randomly, actually I wanted to do the bird this way because I was thinking it might be like a bluebird with a little bit of a orange belly. So I just randomly put the paint down to start this time. And then you would go back and trace in. You could also trace in just with the stencil or just with a pencil if you wanted to rather than a pen. But I think it's kind of nice to do the pen to get that crisp black line. Oops, and then I missed there, but see, this is just part of it. You bring your own hand into it when you use the stencil for something like this. At least if you're like me and perhaps you're not as stable or whatever as you once were. Okay, so then there's your bird. And then this one, I really like this. I think the imagery on this is so cool. And I used some metallic watercolor in this one. I did these in advance because it takes watercolor a little bit of time to dry. And I thought it would be better to have a few ready to show you. So there's another one that you can do. So then, okay, I've got some already dried down. So I used the hummingbird, and I had just dropped a bunch of green paints in there and then traced the hummingbird stencil. And then I also traced these two flowers. So you could kind of organize these any way you wanted. You could cut out the flamingo, cut this out. I mean, you can see how you would gather a lot of fun little fussy cut parts after a while. And I think that that's kind of fun, right? So if you don't feel like painting on your own, I've got this other thing that I want to show you. I don't know if you guys have seen these, but I got my mom one of these for Mother's Day, and she absolutely loved it. So then I bought one for me too, because it's just such a great idea. It's so clever. So you could make this, or you could just buy this book, whatever you want. So this is called a reverse coloring book, where you open it up, and it just has these pages that are they're perforated, so you can pull a page out without destroying the book or anything. I mean, I think they're really, really cool. And anyway, like I said, I got it from my mom. So the object of it is how you're supposed to use it. Is you're supposed to go in here, and then you could just doodle on top of any page and turn it into whatever you wanted. Okay, you know Mary Beth, everything's got to be about a stencil. So I took a page and I cut it out, and this is half of the page that I cut out. And I taped the stencil down on top of it. And I thought this would be so fun, like to use one of our big open space stencils as your guideline for the doodle, right? So you go ahead and you can doodle for sure on this and around all the different parts. Okay, next section. This is the other half of that page where I already did that. I traced around this exact same stencil and I doodled, and then I cut out some of the doodled areas. And then I thought, well, I think I would want this part too to cut out, because I got to thinking, I think this would be so cool as just more parts except in shapes, right? They're just shapes that you can use, because you know me, I'm more the abstract girl. So I'm going to cut this one. I'm using a craft knife. I know I haven't doodled this one yet, but I can go back and do it. And then I'm going to lay this over top of my journal because I have an idea. It's going to be pretty cool. And I don't know, paper cutting is very intriguing to me. I don't do it that often, but some of our stencils just lend themselves to it. Look at this one. I mean, seriously? Look at how cool that's going to be. So maybe let's just do this. Let's just cut this away. And I'm going to just cut this one away. And then we'll have another part for collage. I don't know, to me this opens up a lot more avenues for the whole idea of fussy cutting and watercolor. To me, for me it really, look, you could take that up here. You could move it around. Let's find another page. I mean, I think it would add so much to the collage potential of fussy cutting, right? And even if you think about it, so you put it up here and then you can do the line continuation. Here's a page I just did. I don't have a lot going in this journal yet. Let's see, this is a really dark part where you can really see it pop. So you could put that up there. Do I sleep at night? I really don't, Jim. It's so sad. It's so sad, right? I get whipped up. You know how I am. Okay, so then, I mean, you could add, this is a very busy page anyway, but the darkness of the page helps us see what the parts might look like. I mean, you could start adding these along. Shoot, you could even start a page. You could start on, this is my Ireland journal, by the way. So these were some pages I did in Ireland. This one, and this one, and this one. Oh, what a great trip that was. Oh, and this one too. I even put a little sheep in this one. From my, I took my faux memo camera with me, and I printed out some sheep to use, and then over here I printed out part of a structure. I think this might have been from a cemetery that we visited. So anyway, okay, so you could even start your background with some mosaic type parts. I mean, you guys, the sky's the limit, as you can see. I've lost my mind, as Jim has pointed out. Too many fun things. But just think about all the stencils you have and different ways that you can use them with watercolor, trace around them before or after. You know, so many options. You can cut out these little creatures. You can cut out abstracted shapes. You can cut out the abstracted shapes from the mylar when you trace around it. Just too many options. I hope I have given you some new ways to think about stencils and watercolor and fussy cutting, and hopefully you'll have some time to play today. That's what I intend to do. I'm going to work in my journals. I think I'm going to work in this one because, first of all, look, there's no fabric cover on it, so I need to put a fabric cover on it. And then I'm going to just play. So everyone, have a beautiful Monday, and I will see you all next week. Take care.